Welcome back to Random Talks with Rach. It's your host, Rachel Fleeman, aka Rach. I started a business in my parents' basement at 18 years old, and I'm now a 21-year-old shop owner who, like most all of us, is just trying to figure this whole life thing out, at least the best I can. Throughout this podcast, we'll be having lots of, random talks. From life lessons to personal growth to some business things here and there, and I assure you lots of other random things. I hope you give us, or should I say me, a listen and enjoy. Now let's get into this week's episode. Oh yeah, be sure to follow the podcast on all social media platforms to get a little behind the scenes of this wacky thing called life. Now let's get into this week's episode. Hello guys, and welcome back to Random Talks with Rach. I'm your host Rach, and today's episode we're going to be talking all about advice for when you're going through it. And when I say going through it, I mean going through it. First and foremost, before we get started, I want to apologize. My setup is a little all over the place right now. So the lights, you might see them in the glare and you might see them in my glasses. I guess I probably don't need my glasses, but we're going to wear them for now. Yeah, I'm actually recording this on St. Patrick's Day. I did not know it was St. Patrick's Day. Well, I did, but I kind of completely forgot. So I'm wearing pink, which probably doesn't match the vibe, but I did paint my nails green. So I have a little bit of green. They're probably going to be taken off tonight and painted red or something, because red's like my go-to color. Red and pink are really my go-to colors. We shall see, I guess. This episode, hopefully, isn't going to hit me emotionally, but it might. And that's only because we all go through stuff and it can be really hard at times. Honestly, life lessons, we're just going to get into it because... yeah, we'll talk all about it. But if I start getting emotional, my apologies ahead of time. You know what? Maybe you'll get emotional with me. Maybe this is stuff. If you're listening to this episode, you more than likely are needing to hear these words, or something's going on in your life right now where you just need a little bit of a pick-me-up or some advice. And this is just stuff that I wish I would have known the first time I went through crap. I had this mindset going into it. I would have been so much better off. So many times when we're in situations, we are just told, oh, you'll get through it, it'll be okay. Just find things that make you happy. Just go out and just find the good or do the good or whatever the case is. And yes, that can help you in the moment, but in the long run, those feelings are always going to be there. If you don't feel the feelings when you're going through it, they're just going to come back at a different time. You eventually are going to have to feel it. But I want you to remind yourself that you're going to get through it. You're going to reach the other side of it eventually. It may feel like that is a lifetime away. It may feel like you're never going to get through it in the moment. I promise you, you will. You will reach the other side, and when you're on the other side of it, you'll look back and you will see all the lessons you learned, and you'll be so grateful to yourself that you let yourself feel the way you were feeling. There's no point in hiding it. Trust me, there is no point in hiding it. There's no point in running from it. If you're already going through the shit, go through the frickin' shit. Use the lows as lessons. Everything that we go through in life, good and bad, there's a lesson to be learned. And I feel like when you first start to go through it, again, you feel like there's no coming out of it. There's no escaping this feeling that this is just going to be your life now. This is your new normal. And it's not like a one and done type of thing. Like, it's going to come back. You're going to feel stupid feelings. You're going to get hurt more than once. And that idea of, oh, I got my heart broken, or this really traumatic thing happened and now I'm a completely different person. I've learned, I've grown, I'm all that. That is true, but you're going to get hurt again. What I've learned, what you have to do is in those lows, in those moments where you really truly think you're not going to get out of it, that is your time to shine. That is your time to take every ounce of that hurt, turn it into something good. Use it to learn more about yourself. To set boundaries. You don't have a relationship with yourself, and I mean like a true, strong relationship with yourself, this is your time to do that. To make that relationship with yourself, to grow in that relationship with yourself. Personally, I went through something really hard about 4 years ago. There was a lot of things at once. I feel like that's kind of how life happens too. It's like, it's not usually just one thing, like one and done. It's like one thing goes wrong, then everything goes wrong, and then it feels like your world is crashing right in front of your eyes, and you feel like you're not going to get out of it, and it sucks ass. It really truly does suck. In that moment, I felt alone. Really alone, quite frankly. I felt like I had all these people around me that I knew loved me, but I had never been more alone in my life. And a big part of that was I had lost my grandma, and it hit hard. I have never experience such heartache as I did losing her. This is making me emotional. Oh my gosh. But not only was I losing her, but I was going through a breakup at the time too, with somebody who I had been with for years. And so all of this happened literally within the same week. If you have never witnessed somebody passing away in front of you, it honestly changes your life. And I don't know if it's for the better or for the worse. When I look at it in the moment, it was terrible. In the moment, it felt like my world was crumbling right before my eyes. And I didn't know how to get out of it. I was losing her right in front of me. And if you have, my heart is with you. If you haven't, I really hope you don't have to. It sometimes can be the most comforting thing. It's just a pain of no other. And I'm so blessed that I was able to be there with her. It was during COVID, so if we weren't going to be able to be with her, literally only like 2 to 3 people I think were allowed with her because of COVID times. But that changes you. It really does. And so yeah, I was mourning the loss of my grandma, who was like my rock, and also mourning the loss of a relationship. And so I couldn't go to the one person who I would go to about my grandma and to find comfort in it, which would have been my boyfriend, because I didn't have him anymore. But I also couldn't go to my family about the loss of my boyfriend, or like, the breakup and all that. And so while I felt like I had so many people around me, I felt like a burden at some points because I didn't know how to handle all this. This was more heartbreak than I ever had experienced in one time. And I truly didn't know how to get out of it. Prayed a lot about it. I was surrounded in family, so we got through it together. It was something that we then took and we got through together. And it still hurts. It's almost been 4 years. And there are nights where it still hits me and it still doesn't feel real, honestly. And that's a whole nother thing about grief, and that could be a whole episode in and of itself. But that hard, low place, when I say that changed my life, I mean it with my whole heart. Because of the loss of my grandma, I then started my business, which if you didn't know, I own a clothing company called Rain, and the name Rain is actually half of my name, Rachel, and half of her name, which was Elaine. So it's both of our names combined, and she's the root in it. I started it to spread the love that she showed others, and I was just, again, we were in the middle of COVID. It was a dark time. It was a hard time, and so I wanted to be able to kind of just spread some light, spread some positivity and all that. So I started making shirts, and lo and behold, here I am. I've had the business for 3 years. We just celebrated 3 years in February, and I have a whole ass storefront. I have an amazing online community of amazing people. I've met so many amazing, beautiful people. I have an awesome, awesome group of small business owners that are like family to me, and it has changed my life. It has completely and utterly changed my life. And I make designs that they're called Rain Originals, and they're basically hand lettered and drawn by me, and a lot of them have special messages. So like we have one that says tell your people you love them. It's on the back of a hoodie. We have one that says someone is happier because you exist. And that one specifically has touched so many heartfelt stories from what that means to others. And there's certain points where it's just like, you can just see her shining through. But I never would have started this business if it wasn't for the loss that I was experiencing then. And not only that, but the person I was 4 years ago versus the person I am today are completely different people. Like, completely different. The me back then just wanted everybody to be happy. I'm a people pleaser, and it gets really hard. If you're a people pleaser, it's hard because you just want everybody to be happy. You just want everybody to feel the love. You want everybody to just get along, and it's hard. You're willing to give up your own peace for others, which is a very hard thing to do sometimes, but you just want everything to be okay. And the person I was 4 years ago, I didn't have boundaries. I didn't know what love was. I didn't know how to love myself, because the love I found within myself completely changed the way I view love and the way I love others and the way I do everything in my life. Because of the big loss that I had in my life, I really got to take a step back and figure out what it is I wanted. I had spent so long in the relationship, and when we first started dating, we were like, I think 15 and 16, so we were young, and we didn't really know ourselves. We didn't know, it's like we grew up together. It's like at that point when you start being a teenager, it's like you're becoming a completely different person. And same again with when you get into your 20s. I feel like you become a completely different person, and that's okay. Obviously, we all grow, we all go through situations and stuff that change us, and that's the coolest thing about it, I think. But we had grown up together, and I had never really known what I wanted. I didn't know what my goals were, what my dreams were, because for so long I had another person in mind with it. And so for once I got to figure out what it is I wanted in life and what my goals were and what I wanted to be doing and how I wanted to put myself first and learn to love myself. And I did. I spent so long retraining my brain, reading all these self-help books, listening to all these podcasts, and just truly practicing self-care. And I know some people think it's stupid to meditate or to journal or to do whatever it is, and they just think it doesn't work. And that's okay. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. But personally for me, it really changed the person I am. There's this one type of meditation that I talk about all the time. It's called priming. It's on YouTube. It's like 15 minutes long. I used to do that every single day for so long, and now I do it about once a week. And then I meditate throughout like my day. I just do like a shorter meditation. But that really changed. That I 10 out of 10 recommend. I feel like so many episodes about priming and stuff. I talked about one before we like rebranded and everything. But 10 out of 10 recommend doing it. Go check it out. It's on YouTube. I'll try and put it in the show notes if I can. But priming is something that it really truly did change everything. And figuring out setting boundaries and learning how to actually set those boundaries. Like, it's one thing to say these are your boundaries, and then when life happens and shit happens and like you actually have to put them in play, completely different. So yeah, that's just like a little bit of a side story about why I think it is so important to dive in head first when you're going through it. Because if you don't, the feelings are going to catch up to you. Everything is going to catch up to you at some point. And it is important, because without our lows, there wouldn't be highs. If we were always just riding on these highs of life, we wouldn't begin to know how to appreciate the things that we have and the good things that are in life. And I feel like a lot of losses, a lot of hard times really make you appreciate the people that you do have and the people that are by your side and the people who truly understand you and the people who truly love you for who you are. I saw this quote, it was on TikTok, I think, and it really hit home, but it was, if somebody can hurt you and that doesn't hurt them, knowing that they're hurting you and they're okay with it, that's not love. That's them using you. So in other words, if somebody knows that they're causing some sort of pain to you or hurting you or not treating you right at all, not just completely dissing everything you've ever known with this person, and that doesn't bother them in any way, shape, or form, you might need to reconsider things, because that is not okay. It's really not okay. I think within hard times, obviously in relationships, and when like relationships, and by relationships I mean like actual relationships and like friendship relationships, but within hard times, you're going to see people's true colors. You're going to see how they take it. And I think that's so important when you like get into a relationship, because within love, it's being able to go through a hard time together, to get into some sort of disagreement or something and be able to work it out and be on the other side of it. Because if you're only riding on the high times, you don't, I feel like you just don't know the person. And maybe that's just a personal thing. Maybe you think completely different, and that's okay. But personally, I think you love them through the thick and thin. And it's so much easier said than done. I have had so many people in my life who will be like, oh yeah, like we'll get through it. Anytime there's a tough thing, oh yeah, we'll get through it or whatever. And then the tough times come and it's like they're somebody that you don't even recognize. And that hurts a lot. And trust me, it's not fun, because it's somebody who you could feel so close to, somebody who you could give all your love to, all your heart to. And especially if you're like I was saying, if you're like a people pleaser, if you're working on these boundaries that you've just set and all that stuff, and you've been hurt in the past or something, it's so easy to build up these walls. And personally for me, I have been hurt so many times that I do have walls up, and it is hard to get through them. And if you get through them, that's great. But if you get through them and then you do me wrong, I used to just give people chance after chance after chance and not giving a single shit in the world. But in the end, who was really getting hurt? It was me. It was me, because I felt like, oh, if I just let this person back into my life, there'll be peace, and it's just okay. But you have to learn to protect your own peace. And if they don't get that, then that's on them. But at the end of the day, it's not okay to treat people a certain way and just move on and be okay with it. Like, it's so hard. It's not, if they're not willing to fully talk about it, and I feel like actions speak a lot louder than words. And that's shown true and true. I am a huge, you have to stay true to your word kind of person. Stay true to your promises. If you don't, then what is your word worth? Because at the end of the day, that's all you have. But your actions also need to follow up with your words. And if they don't, it just shows me who you are. And the hard part is you could know somebody for years and they could still become a completely different person and somebody who you don't recognize, and it hurts. It really, truly does hurt. But at the end of the day, you have to remind yourself that they showed you who they are, and you have to believe them. If somebody is going to walk out of your life, you got to let them go. And if they're going to come into your life and they're going to show you exactly who they are, why wouldn't you believe them? If they're going to say one thing but do another when the time comes, that is completely on them. That is not on you. That is not on you. And it is so easy to beat ourselves up over relationships ending or like any of it. It's so easy to just be like, oh, it's all our fault because we didn't do this, or we should have apologized for this. Stop apologizing for shit that's not your fault. Literally, I used to apologize so much. It was a bad, bad thing. And it would be to the point where I'd be like apologizing to keep the peace. But what peace am I keeping? At what cost? Truly, at what cost am I keeping this? Because it just hurts me more. And it's something that I shouldn't need to apologize for. You don't need to apologize for something if you didn't do anything wrong. And it's hard. It is hard. And it's a lot of stuff that you have to learn. And it takes time to learn it. And that's okay. That is truly okay. But yeah, this is so off topic from what I have in my notes written down, but basically, our lowest points in life often become the most eye-opening. When you lose people, you learn something. When you go through something, you always learn something. I feel like everything happens for a reason is like my life motto. I talk about it all the live long day, and if you know me, you know that that's just truly what I live by, and it helps keep peace because it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, if bad shit happens, obviously, I'm going to be hurt in the moment. Obviously, it might take me a few days to get through it. But I can't dwell on that and let that stop my life. I currently, as I'm doing this, there is a million things that could have stopped me and just made me lay in bed all day in sulk and sadness. But then I'm like, are they doing the same? No. So why would I stop? It is one of those things where you have to then put all this work that you've done on working on yourself and practicing your self-love and your self-care and your boundaries and stuff, and you really have to put it into action. It's a test on your own mindset. It's really, truly a test on your mindset. And how are you going to go about it? It's up to you. This is your freaking life. Your life. Live it for you. Stop living it for anybody else. Truly, honestly, stop living it for other people. Because that's when you get separated. Then you're no longer living your life for you. I'm sorry, but that person already has their life. They're already getting to choose every single thing that they do. They get to choose how they react to you. They get to choose how they treat you. They get to choose what they say to you, what they do to you, all that stuff. They get to do that to you. It is not, I repeat, it is not your job to fix that. It is not your job to give up your energy and to destroy your inner peace and give your life just to make theirs better. Like, you shouldn't have to go out of your way to do that. That is not okay. That is honestly not okay. You're living your life. We all get our own lives, and you get to live it for you. If you're living it for somebody else, if you're doing the things you're doing because it's for somebody else, obviously that's completely different than like if you're in a relationship or like if you're doing something to like help other people out. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the more deep stuff. Like if you're truly living your life day in, day out, you're making decisions because you don't want to disrupt the peace. You don't want to upset somebody. You don't want to step on anybody's toes. Maybe you should reaccount if those people should even be in your life. Quite frankly, if you have to change who you are around them, that's not okay. It's just really not okay. So when you're going through it, I know your heart may physically feel heavy. Trust me, I know that pain. It is the worst pain ever when your heart genuinely just feels like this giant piece of stone just weighing down on you. The tears may come at random hours of the day and you can't control it. If you're like me, I'm a very emotional person, especially when there's like disagreements or like when it's just, I'm one of those people like when you get yelled at, you just start crying. Yeah, that's me. Or if you get in arguments, I can't do it because I don't like the drama, I guess. I don't know. I just start crying when anytime there's like some sort of like disagreement or anything. No, not me. Couldn't be me. I know the tears may come at random times throughout your day, and I don't want you to tiptoe around the things in your problems and your situation. I don't want you to skip over the things, because here's the thing, you're gonna get through it. I promise you. I mean, 4 years ago, I thought my world was ending. I thought I'm never going to find somebody else. I'm never going to feel loved again. I was going through every emotion I possibly could. I was feeling the grief. And while the grief doesn't get better, and I've lost other people since then, and that's hard as shit, there's always things that you can look on that are good from it. Sorry, when I try not to cry, I laugh. But there's good out of all the situations. Even in the shitty ones, there's good that comes from it. You just gotta find it. You truly just gotta find it. If you can't find it, you gotta make the good out of it. You got to figure out what the hell you can learn from this, what lessons you can teach yourself, what you can learn about yourself, what you can grow from, what you can do to maybe inspire others, or whatever the case is. I just don't want you to tiptoe around your feelings, because at some point, I promise they'll catch up to you, and they're going to catch up to you when you least expect it. And you might be like, well, I don't have time to feel these feelings. My life is too chaotic. It's too busy. Okay, well, it's going to catch up to you when it's even more busy or more chaotic, or when you have another problem. So then you have all these different problems that you're trying to process at once, and you're not going to be able to do it. It's so hard on yourself. It's okay to feel your feelings. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to not understand what's going on. I think it's one of those things. I think it's especially harder for guys to really do it. And I don't know. I have a lot of guy friends, and they just don't know how to feel their feelings. Or they're like, I just don't feel. I'm like, bullshit. I know you say you can turn off your feelings, but at some point, you do feel. You have feelings. You have emotions towards certain things and people. And I don't think it's that they don't feel it. I think that they avoid it. And they just like can turn off wanting to feel it then. But at some point, it's going to catch up to you. No matter who you are. You don't always have to just have a happy face on. You can feel the struggle. It's okay. And honestly, when guys say it, and like when guys truly feel their feelings and feel how they're like what they're going through or whatever, to me that makes them more of a man, because it makes me see that, oh, they're mature. They understand how to feel. They know that life isn't always sunshine and rainbows. Like shit happens. Shit truly happens. And it's okay that if somebody hurts you or somebody breaks your heart or whatever, you can be sad about that. You don't have to put on this, oh, macho man face, or this, oh, I'm fine, or they didn't hurt me. If somebody hurt you, it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to cry about it. It doesn't make you any less of a person by feeling your feelings. And while, yes, the person I was 4 years ago is different than the person I am today, I know the person that I'm going to be 4 years from now is going to be completely different than the person who's sitting right here today, too. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm not perfect by any means. I still learn through lessons. I still go through hard times. I still am learning about myself. I'm still learning how to set boundaries. I'm still working through past trauma. I'm still doing all the things and feeling all the feelings, but I know I have grown since then. I know I am a different person. I can recognize it. And I think like when I have these like memories that'll come up on my phone, or even like I write future letters to myself on this, like, it's called futureme.com or something, and you can write like future letters to yourself. So I'll do it and I'll send them. Sometimes it's usually just like a year I'll send them, but sometimes I'll send them like 2, 4, or 5 years down the line. And when I read them and I honestly, it feels so stupid and silly, but some of the like letters that I write to myself, I'll look back and I'll just remember how gut-wrenching that Rachel felt. Like, she thought that was the end of it. She thought that she was never going to get through that situation or whatever. And looking back, I'm like, that's so silly. That is such a silly thing to be caught up on. But in the moment, it felt like my world was crashing down. And that's on growth. That's on maturity. That's on realizing that the little things aren't worth getting so caught up over, because you gotta realize, like, is it worth spending more of your energy on and more of your time that you have here on that problem? Is it gonna matter in 5 years, or is it just a 5-minute type of thing? And then sometimes there'll be like bigger things that have been going on in my life from however many years ago, and I'll read those letters and I just start crying because I'm like, wow, she is a different person. She has changed. Like, holy shit, she didn't think she was going to get through that, but she did. And it makes me so proud of past me. It makes me proud of myself now, because it's so hard to explain unless you fully have gone through it. But you're growing and you're learning and you're becoming a different version of you every single day. And if you want to become the best version of you, you have to put in the effort. Because it can go two ways. You can become a different person, and you are going to become a different person. But whether or not that person is a better version of you or a worse version of you is completely up to you. Completely up to you. The other thing I want to talk about is being misunderstood. There is peace, so much peace, and understanding that there's no point in wasting time arguing with people who don't understand you. People can only understand you up until their level of perception. So if somebody doesn't understand why you're doing something, or why, I don't know, if a situation is taking a turn, just know that there's only so much you can explain to somebody and then listening. And I think it's a hard thing, because sometimes people are like, oh yeah, let me hear you out, or whatever. But how much are they truly listening? Truly. How much are they actually trying to understand your side? Or have they already, did they already have their mind made up? It's a hard reality to accept, and it's a hard pill to swallow, because it's something that it's like, okay, I just want them to understand. And then you keep talking and talking and talking about it and trying to just get them to get you. But they can only understand up until their level of maturity and their level of perception and what they want to see. They're not going to see everything that you want them to see. And even if you tell them a million times, it's not going to click for them unless they want it to click for them. And it's hard, but at the end of the day, every ending is always followed by a beginning. No matter what the hell you're going through, when one chapter closes, another one opens. Or one book closes, another one opens. Or one door closes, another one opens. You know, all the cliche things, but it's so true. Because at the times in my life when I have felt like this is it, I'm never going to get past this, or I'm never going to get through it, usually the next thing was so much better than the previous. The people in my life that came into it, the relationships I had, the version of me, the version of the people around me, it's just like, it's like you up a level. It's like in a video game when you get to the next level or something. It's just, if you're going through a hard time, which again, I'm guessing if you're listening to this, you might need to be hearing some of these words, but I just want you to know you're not alone. You're not alone. And it's so easy, especially with social media and stuff nowadays, to get caught up in the, oh, nobody feels this way, or nobody understands my feelings, or nobody's going to get the way I'm feeling because it's so unique to me. And while yes, that's true, at some point, somebody has gone through something similar to you, and they're going to get you. And it doesn't mean the situation is exactly the same, but it's the level of hurt, or the level of discomfort, or the level of peace that has been disrupted, or whatever it is. Somebody has gone through something just like you have, not situation wise, but feelings wise. Somebody has gone through the work to put themselves first, or has gone through the work to truly practice self-care and to learn more about themselves and to love themselves and all that stuff. And it's just, it is one of those things where I truly want you to just know you're not alone. And if you're going through a time where you just feel like you cannot get your head above water and you're just struggling so hard, it's one thing after another, you're going to get through it. But I challenge you to feel the feelings. I challenge you to feel the heartbreak, to feel that pit in your stomach grow and grow and grow. And that feeling of, oh, I just want to curl up in a ball and lay in bed all day. I want you to do it. And I know you might be like, oh no, I still have all this shit I need to get done. That's okay. It'll still be there when you're done. It'll still be there when you get through it. That doesn't mean you should put your whole life on pause. Obviously, if there's people that are there for you and love you and want to go have and try and get you out of the funk, go do it. But listen to yourself. Listen to your body. You can feel the feelings. You can feel the heartbreak. You can cry the tears. Do the things, but just know that you're going to get through it. Something that has helped me a lot is going on morning walks. And I'm from Nebraska, so it gets really cold in the winter, and I'm already somebody who's always cold, so I don't necessarily do it in the winter. But in the spring and summer, and even in the fall, I love my morning walks. I just started getting back into them about a few weeks ago, but it is like 20-30 minutes of complete peace for me. I usually will listen to a podcast or I'll listen to music or whatever, but it is that time where I get the fresh breath of air. I can hear the birds chirping, the sun is shining, and it's just the perfect way to start my day and realize that it's okay. Like that I think was the hardest thing. Like it was that's where I found peace in my tough times was my walks, because I love spending time outside and just being with nature and all that stuff. It really helps ground me. It really helps clear my mind and just the fresh air and everything. And so being able to do that and continue to do that has helped tremendously. Or finding a workout routine or something that just makes you feel good. You don't have to have a goal body in mind. But like, if it makes you feel good, if it makes you feel empowered or strong or capable or whatever it is, do it. Read the self-help books, or don't. Read the fun books if you want to read the fun books. Watch your comfort shows or watch the new movies or whatever it is. Just know that you're not alone and you're going to get through it. I pinky promise you that. My heart is with you if you're going through a tough time right now. It really, truly hurts, and it's really hard at times because you're trying to understand things, but then it only gets to a point where you're not going to be able to fully understand the full situation from both sides, and you just got to be okay with that. You got to know that you're enough as you are. And you got to understand that you know who you are, you know the person you are deep down, and you have to put yourself first. You truly do. No matter in what relationship or what friendship or what anything, put yourself first, please, first and foremost. Find the people who love you and stick with them. And if there's thick and thin, go through it with them. Go through it with them. And if they don't do it back with you, that's on them. It is not your responsibility to make people like you. It's not your job to make people love you. You can't do that. If somebody really, truly wants you and loves you and cares about you, they'll make it known. And if not, that's on them. It's like practicing that let them theory, which we'll have a whole episode about the let them theory, but it's truly like the let them theory. Basically, it's if they're going to treat you a certain way, or if they're going to do a certain thing, or it's basically like if they're going to do something or they're not going to do something, you just let them. Let them do whatever they're going to do, because you can't control somebody else's outcome. You can only control yours. I think I'm going to close on that note for today's episode, but thank you guys so much for listening, and I'm just giving you a big old hug if you're listening to this one right now and you really need it. But again, you're not alone. You are so, so, so loved. I love you. I'm here for you. And just know that you're going to get through it. And it's going to be so much better on the other side. So much better. It may hurt like a bitch right now, but you're going to get through it. I love you so much. Be sure to follow the podcast on all the social media platforms. We're on all of them. And if you're listening to the audio version, there's also our visual version on YouTube if you want to check that out. And yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic week. And I love you so much. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye, guys.